But then, okay, so today this Tanya is based on the Rebbe's notes. Over here, these over here, on the outer margin, those are the Rebbe's notes.
It's Weinberg?
No, the Rebbe's handwriting. Like from the Rishon, is from the Rebbe's notes. And they published it separately. The Rebbe's notes on Tanya, extremely concise, very, And then they have in the footnotes they have from the Rebbe, basically from the Rebbe. Igris, Mamorim, letters, basically from the Rebbe. I think I saw here something from the Rebbe Rashab. It's all from the Rebbe, all the, just a collection from many places, very, very special. Well, let's learn, we're holding Perek Hey. Perek Hey has 3 ideas.
So if Rebbe somewhere says Sicha, and it's matched to the Tanya, they bring it?
No. If the Rebbe said something that's a biur.
Biur?
That's
specifically on Tanya,
that adds a knetch. It's a perspective, an insight. Then they bring it. It's not every time the Rebbe mentioned it. So I'll just say generally, Perek Hey, the Tanya itself is dense. It's strong, And what I saw, there's like less biurim. Just you have to learn what it says in the Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe, in Perek Dalet, the Alter Rebbe said that the Torah is like water. That even though it travels down, it's still water. It doesn't change. The water doesn't change. Hashem's Chochmah, Torah and Hashem are one. Because it doesn't change. Hashem condensed himself into the Torah. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to deepen this Nakuda by discussing this expression of Tfisa, to grip. Elio, in the Tikkun Zohar, it says, less machshava Tfisa. At the end of Perek Dalet, the Alter Rebbe says that the only way to have Tfisa, to have a grip on Hashem, is in Torah and Mitzvahs. Ki'im, exclusively, the way it's Tfisa, Mislabeshas, the way it is in Torah. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to, in other words, what we said before, Torah's Mamish Hashem, even though it's an Elam Hazar, it's like when you're hugging a king and he's wearing a coat, it's still the king, it's still, right? So now he's going to, Be'emes, the Lashon, to grip something, applies to a Davar Gashmi. You don't grip Seichel. So it's a strange use of the word to say Tfisa. So first, let's read a little bit inside. And for me, I have a little bit of what I think is like a perspective of what's trying to be said. Maybe someone's gonna have a machlekes with me, but whatever. Let's.
But you will bring when Rebbe says something specifically about this.
I'll tell you. So Perek Hey, Olteisves Biur, to explain even more, Bayer Heitev, to explain this very well. So we're going to explain Lashon Tfisa. To explain very well the Lashon Tfisa, She'amar Eliyahu, Leis Machshava Tfisa B'chacholu, that you can't have a grasp on Hashem. Again, but in Torah Mitzvahs you could. It's Hine, Kol Seichel, Kishemaski v'masik b'sichel is a muscle. A seichel is a brain, right? The capacity for understanding.
IQ.
In other words, not the person, the seichel of the person. So when the seichel is maskil, umasik b'sichel is a muscle. When you approach something to learn it. So what happens? First, you you grip onto. It's like you feel like you're holding on. You're selecting the book. You're selecting the topic. Umakifa b'sichli, your mind surrounds the subject. Right? You're taking a look at this topic. And then, the hamuskul, the idea that you're learning, nitfas, is gripped by you. Umukif, and it's surrounded by you. And it's melubish, b'teichasechel. It's inside your brain. Your brain is surrounding this idea.
Muscle.
Muscle is the idea. No, muscle, the seichel is the person. And the muscle is the object. The subject object. Yeah?
Because they wants to grasp God beer.
Yes.
So here you cannot do it.
So when a person learns, thank you. So when a person learns, if you see maybe the people on the way out, tell them to come. Thank you very much. So now he says vegan. Besides that you are holding on, that you're grabbing this idea, actually that your brain is melubish b'muskel. It's also inside of it. When you understand it. So, I mentioned last week, we're not here a shir that's going to learn 5 hours perek hey, so some things I'm just, even here there's a beer from the Rebbe. The Rebbe like organizes. The Rebbe says when you start learning something, when you approach the topic, then when you start looking at the details, you go inside. So before you were around it, then you go in it. When you finish, there's a unity. That both yeah, that's like at the conclusion. So, and then inside the Alter Rebbe, the word maskil is koyach hachochma. Kol seichel kishamaskil, and then masig, that's already bina.
Feminine. I mean,
to understand.
Yeah, but
so there's there's like to the beginning of the germ of the idea, and then there's the grasp, like better understanding. So in the beginning, it's like the aha moment is very much because there's some kind of resolution. It's like it's good. So you're a little bit of bird's eye view. You zoomed out. Then you have to go in.
more understanding.
Yeah, you want. You know, in Ayin Beis he says that you know, people really, they make a decision intellectually how they want to conclude before.
Agenda.
There's a hanocha sichlis. It makes sense to me that this is what it is. Then you justify, but really he says the strongest power in the brain is that original.
First.
The gravitation,
Inclination.
yeah. So, and that's really in Chochmah, and in that position, it's really makif. Whatever, the way he lays it out, it's very powerful. And he says sometimes on the way, so it doesn't make sense. After, when you're trying to work through, you could lose touch. You say, I don't know. But you come back, and really that's the strongest force. Another just... So the Alter Rebbe, there's like a dance here with the words. That first he says Chochmah Binah, then later he's going to speak only Binah. Because he's moving away from the Makif, and he's talking about the being connected. So the Derech Moshe. For instance, Kishada Mevin Masig. So you see here, he didn't say maskil. Right? Mevin Masig, when a person understands Eza Halacha Mishnah Gemara, La Ashura al Burya. Hare Sichle, I'm going to talk about these words, La Ashura al Burya, because I feel like this is a big part. Hare Sichle Teifes o Makifesa, you grasp the idea. V'gam Sichle Mulubish bo. And your mind is also in it, Ba'isa Shah, at the time that you're learning. So, Ba'isa Shah, it's only at the time that we're learning something that we can't learn something else. We can't think about something else. We're focused. The brain is occupied. The idea could remain in your brain in a makif way forever. You could always reach in to the hard drive. But we're talking about RAM. That's that it's malubish, that your brain is in it. That's only ba'isa shah. Okay, it's invested in it. So I just so let's a little big picture for a minute. We learn different mamorim and different things. If I learn something in Torah and I say, what's the halacha by so and so? And you say, oh, Torah says this is the halacha. And in my heart, I disagree. Mm-hmm. I don't feel comfortable. Okay? In other words, let's say, I take an example. There's a din that you're not allowed to overcharge. Let's say two people make an agreement. Mm-hmm. You could charge me whatever you want. I'll accept it, right? Let's say, I'm going to say, oh, but al pi din, you're not allowed to. Even if you make such an agreement, it's no good. Say, why not? It's my money. It's we both agreed. We're peaceful. Mm-hmm. Why? Right? So in a certain way, that's not seichel. The fact that I understand your opinion, the fact that I don't agree with it, I have to accept something, that's an imposition.
Subdue.
I
need subdue me to this idea.
Yeah, in other words, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree. So if I have to do it, I disagree means that my logic doesn't make the same conclusion. Right? Your mind works differently. So for you determined like this, but my mind works a different way. So to me, it's not logical. Even though I understand what your opinion is. But to me, it's against seichel. It's counter to seichel. When the Alter Rebbe uses the words la'ashura al burya, the Alter Rebbe is saying a person understands the halacha so well that his logic is completely aligned. That's la'ashura al burya. In other words, when it's in chokhmah and maskil or masig, but
both came to the same conclusion.
La'ashura al burya, it doesn't mean I can explain someone else's opinion very well. No. It's my shita. It became my shita. Right? So now there's real unity. The true unity that Alter Rebbe is describing is only here. And this is what we're going to find it later. He's going to come back. La'achadim u'miyuchadim mikol tzad pina, complete unity. And that is the greatness of the coming back to Perek Dalet. Torah is actually Hashem. It's Mayim Yerdim. But there's also Tfisa. Because the way I experience Torah, there's an opportunity for me to become completely aligned. So me and Hashem's thinking and my thinking become completely one. And that's the truest, and that's the whole perek when he speaks about Torah is like food. Torah is like right?
Right? Like dresses,
so really, this is the whole. It's not just, I learned Torah, so when I learned it, I went in it, I went around it. No. It's, that's the bits of the hidden. Halacha zu, this halacha that you're learning and you're understanding, Lashur al-Boya, he, Chachmas Yitzeni Shalach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Hashem's will and wisdom. The will is the decision. What's the halacha? Sha'ala B'Tzene, the Eibishter, in his Ratzon, Hashem decided, he willed that what? Shekshayite Ruvein kach v'kach derech Moshe. V'shimin kach v'kach. So the Rebbe throws in just derech agav that actually the first debate, argument in Torah is between Reuven and Shimon. Because the Gemara says that when it says in the Pasuk, Vayoimru ish alochiv, one said to the other, oh, here's the Baal HaChalemis.
Yeah.
So ish alochiv is Reuven, is Shimon and Levi. The Gemara says in Sefer, it's Shimon and Levi, the ones who killed Shechem, the same ish alochiv, the two brothers.
They started.
Right. So he says, oh, here's the ish alochiv, let's kill him. L'chuv and Argeil. And then Reuven said,
What is big?
what's right? Don't, yeah. So the first argument was Reuven and Shimon in Torah. So but also the Rebbe speaks about what's this kach v'kach, because the Torah is on 3 levels. The Torah is medaber b'olyon. The Torah it's chachmas Shalach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then there's the way it is in Torah, in Nigla. And then there's the way it is in the world. There's Reuven and there's Shimon, the people. In Elam Hazeh, when the Torah dictates, tells us how to... So it's all like levels, like layers. So that's why he uses this expression, that it's a marshal, because as it comes down, and not, okay, in the world, let's say in the world there's Reuven and Shimon. It was Hashem's wisdom, and then that V'shimon kach v'kach. So Yi apsak b'neim kach v'kach. So this time is a different. V'af, even though in Lehayu v'leyi adavar asel le'ilav, it's never going to be love is a mishra al tainus atviyazelu. No one's ever coming to Bezdin. That ever brings that this is like the ultimate. It's completely only the will of Hashem. It's not. It's not
from Rebbe knows about Shimon and Reuven. It first argument was from Shimon and Reuven from the Rebbe knows.
Yeah. Nevertheless, also there's another thing that Rebbe brings also. That I think this is also. Why does he bring an example from Choshen Mishpat that there's an argument about money? So the Chidush is, even though one of them is lying, there's a tiny sheker, it's still Chachmas Shalach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all part of it. Yeah. So Akach Ola B'Tzoni, the Eibishter's wisdom. Sheim Yitin Zekach, V'Zekach, Hiya Psakach, this is the Psak Din. Zoharei. And a person knows, and he's masik, right? He understands besichle, psak zeh, ki halacha ha'arucha b'mishnei gemarei peskin. He knows the full halacha laid out. He's clear. Harei zeh masik v'teifes o makif besichle. He grasps and he understands, and it surrounds ritzeni v'chachmas Shalach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which we said before, that less machshavat fisabei, for lebertzeni v'chachmasi. Ki im, the only way to have a grip in elikus is behislav shusam, behaloches or aruches lefanenu.
Like you said, align his personal logic to Hashem logic.
Yeah, but that he's going to say in a minute. So that Hashem's seichel, which cannot be grasped, Hashem's will that cannot be grasped. The only way it could be ki'im only in this in Arochas the way halacha is for us. And then, in addition, v'gam sichlei melubish bahem. There's the one other thing from the Rebbe that I forgot to mention. I think somebody asked the Rebbe a question. Why does he say that when a person learns Torah, he's gripping the seichel, and then he says, and the seichel is gripped by him? Obviously, if you're gripping so the Rebbe says, it brings two. He says that we have to remember that Torah is Hashem. Let's say a Rosh is learning Torah. So maybe Hashem says, I don't want you. You're trying. It's like, and this is not from the Rebbe. It's like, L'mashal, you have a person, it's not sticking. He's trying, but he's not. So maybe that would be the case. That you have to be a purified vessel. Just because you're holding on, maybe it's slippery. Maybe you can't.
Not for reason.
Yeah.
I heard that some communists learn Rambam. They enjoy learning Rambam like logic. When he brings this, from Gemara cases.
You say, so where is this?
After revolution, it's these people.
So the Rebbe says that the Alter Rebbe comes to Bishoilo. No, if you reach out to grasp the Torah is going to be. It's like it has to be. That's one thing. The other thing the Rebbe says is it's true that it's repeating, but he's highlighting the incredible unity with Hashem. Yeah. And the seichel of Hashem is gripped by you. So v'gam sichlei melubish bahem, you're also in it. You're surrounding it, and you're in it. It says v'hu yichud niflo. It's an incredible yichud again. So now, to me, this paragraph is where he's expressing this point: complete alignment. She'ein yichud kamoihu. There's nothing like it, nothing comparable to it. Nimtza klal begashmias. Obviously, in Gashmias, it's impossible that something should be surrounded and inside of. It's impossible. Lias lachodim yuchodim mamash mikol tzadapina. Now, it's true; it's with every wisdom, but it's not. What's negayah to me? What's the significance of being united with science? The point is that you're being united with Hashem. That's the point. Yeah. So the Alter Rebbe says, "V'zeis ma'ila yesera." This is the great advantage in Torah over mitzvahs. The Rebbe also says, like from the beginning of Perek Hey, that the Alter Rebbe is going to speak about the ma'ila of Torah over everything else. So this is the great ma'ila, the great advantage. It's a mile. It's gedola v'nifla. It's right. It's a wonderfully le'ein ketz. It's endlessly more fabulous. Asher b'mitzvahs yedias haTorah v'hasagoso al kol hamitzvahs ma'asius. There are two the mitzvah of learning Torah has two parts. One is to know Torah, yedias haTorah, to know Torah, and the other is to learn Torah. The act of learning Torah. So the knowledge of Torah, which is what he's talking about here, the idea of Torah, just want to, the mitzvah of, there's an obligation, I should say it's stronger, not that there's a mitzvah to learn Torah, but that there's an obligation to learn Torah. There's a chayv to learn Torah. You have to learn Torah every moment.
But it logically makes sense in the order, because we say Chabad controls all emotion, all body. So now Chokhmah is connected with Hashem Torah, that's why it's influence mitzvahs, other parts.
Because
Chokhmah, Chabad controls whole body, that's why if we start from the top.
Okay, I have to think about it. So, good. Yeah, akol al mitzvahs ma'asius, va'afilu al mitzvahs atliyas b'dibur. Yeah. Va'afilu Yeah. And even on mitzvahs Talmud Torah shebedibur. Ki ayidei kol ha-mitzvahs shebedibur u'maisa, all the mitzvahs that are dibur, the mitzvahs that are maisa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu malbish es ha-nefesh u'makifa. Hashem surrounds the nefesh, right? Meiresh v'adragla. It envelops, it surrounds, it's not inside. Mitzvahs are a makif, they're not nimius. Meiresh v'adragla. So that's what you have by mitzvahs. Mashenke, by Torah it's different. I just wanted to mention one other thing, that we say that I learned that Torah is one with the Eibishter. So when you learn Torah, you become one with Hashem. What is it? Hashem is the king. What do we find in Gemara? The Gemara says, who are the kings? Man, Malke, Rabbanon. The Rabbanon are the kings. The people, yeah? So, when a person performs a mitzvah, the Eibishter is makif. The Eibishter is not inside of you. He's around you, right? It's a command. It's an order. So we'll catch you up soon. Come, let's take a look at the period. Yeah, b'yidiyas hatera. Shas, a person knows. When a person learns Torah and he knows Torah. Oh, I just want to go back to one thing. The Rebbe says an amazing thing. Mikol Tzadopina. Anyway, just one part of the perek, one nekuda, that Alter Rebbe is speaking about a person who learns Torah in such a way that his seichel, it becomes his shita. The shita, what it says in the Torah, that becomes his opinion. Okay? It's one. It's complete alignment. So then the Alter Rebbe says that mikotza, your whole brain, you become completely one with Hashem. So the Rebbe says becoming completely one means that your mind starts operating about everything about Hashem. Even something you didn't learn in Torah, your mind starts to work. It's like, just like he said, just like we speak about a second nature. I mean, we didn't learn about it yet, but all of us learned already about this concept in Chassidus. But Bechlal, Teva Sheni, you have a skafia until it becomes Nasa Teva, it becomes your nature.
It's an original AI.
Yeah, so Nasa, your Seichel becomes like Seichel Sheni, that you start thinking like the Eibishter. B'yidiyas hatera. So when you do a mitzvah, the Eibishter envelops you, the Eibishter surrounds you. But by Yidiyas hatera, milvad she'aseichel melubish b'chochmas Hashem, besides that your brain is areingeton in chochmas Hashem, hinei gam chochmas Hashem bekirbay. You dive into the subject, but the subject is also in you. Chochmas Hashem bekirbay. You swallowed, you ingested Chochmas Hashem as much as possible. Ma she'aseichel masig v'tefis o makiv b'sichlei. Ma she'efshelei, based on what you're able to, every person at their level, that's efshelei litfis o lahasig mi'yidiyas hatera. Ish kifi sichlei v'keach yidiyosei v'asadasi b'pardis. So here, this is where the Rebbe's discussion about bittul Torah in quality, not in quantity. A person is learning Torah the whole time, but half of their brain is not engaged. So it's bittul Torah. Right? The Rebbe says it's you're learning Torah the whole time. On the clock, it's not bittul Torah. But in your brain, half of your brain is doing nothing. So here, the Alter Rebbe is expressing the completeness that every person, in other words, I heard a word. I don't remember who is it. One of the Chassidim. I don't know. was Adam Gadol. I don't know. Maybe it was one of the Bnei Arav. Maybe one of the Polish Tzadikim or a Mashpia. He said that when you learn Nigla, Legirsa, so there's such a thing. But a person who learns Chassidus Legirsa, there's no such thing. He said, why? Because Nigla is Chitzonius Atayr. So in Chitzonius you could learn, but Chassidus is Pnimius Atayr. So if you're learning Chitzonius, it's not Chassidus. You can't learn it Legirsa. You have to be Le'iyum. Right? It doesn't work. So what Alter Rebbe is saying, to have this level, that your brain and the Eibishter's brain are completely one, that's only if you're in it. If you're fully invested. If you're learning Torah with a half a brain, then you're not really invested in it doesn't matter, you're just like memorizing. Right? It's like, what are they doing? People say, oh, in school, they're just repeating. Right? It's just, what do they call it? Recall. Right? He says, so who said the din? Rab Meir, Rabbi Yehuda. What? What's the svara? You have to understand. So the Alter Rebbe is pushing complete. Now the Alter Rebbe says, concludes with another Inyan, the last Inyan, which is the Inyan of Mazin. So I'll just say, I listened to the shir also from Ashkenazi. I didn't listen to the whole thing, just to the introduction, but just, when we eat, we come to life. The neshama, our nefesh, comes to life when we learn Torah. So Ashkenazi says that 20 years before he passed away, he had a stroke. So he's telling the story himself. He was in yeshiva and he got a call that his father's in the hospital. And he went and he went to the hospital. It was at night, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, whatever. He came to the hospital. His father was laying. He had a stroke. He says his father's a lefty, so he was able to speak.
Because he's the opposite side of the brain.
And but his body, he was laying, mamish, couldn't move. He says he was sitting in the hospital. His father called. He had a brother that was a chassan that was getting married in 3 weeks in Amsterdam. The chassan was whatever. Anyway, so he says they were laying there. Suddenly his father started calling his mother. She came over. He said, call one of the kids that's in New York. Tell him to go to the oil. And tell him that I promised the Rebbe that if I'm going to walk again on 2 feet, I'm going to do what the Rebbe asked me again. I'm going to go back to writing Chidushim, Ha'oris, whatever it is, on the Alter Rebbe's Torah. Because the Rebbe had told him years ago that that's what he should do. And Ashkenazi says, 3 weeks later at the Chasana, he was walking on his own 2 feet. He says he couldn't dance the whole wedding, but when he went in the airport, he says even for a young guy, it's a big airport. But but he was mamish. Says Torah. We say Torah is life. Torah is life. It's not a joke. Pashut, the whole family are witnesses. There's no jokes. So then he started. In other words, he finished his Svardim on Hilchas Talmud Torah, and then he wrote on Tanya and whatever. He was working on other things. Yeah. All the politics. He said that during the time of Nun Beis and whatever, when things were going on, he got schlepped into politics, and so he wasn't so. He went back. He went back. So mamish. Learning Torah in such a way, mamish gives you life. And now it goes back to this point that just like food if you swallow the pieces whole, if your body's not properly digesting it, it doesn't give you that sustenance. It could hurt you. It can make you sick. The same thing with the Torah. You have to learn it. Mamish, you have to completely digest it. It should be completely absorbed. Anyway, well, the fee, let's learn it inside. I was sitting in a classroom today, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, I told the kids, in the world, there's an expression, a glass ceiling. You know, like you have to break, right? You have to grow, like you have to go. I said, you know, all of you sit here, and like every day you're learning Gemara, it's all Chinese. I said, the solution is in one page. You have to take one daf. You have to master it. Every word, every prefix, every sub, like, don't let anything slide. That page, you have to understand it like, it'll change every, you know? It's like, you have a lot of people, they listen to a sikha, and then someone says, what did the Rebbe say? I have no idea. You know? So you say, I don't know, there's so many sikhas, how am I going to ever figure this out? But really, if you take one Fabrengen, even one sikha, and you say, I'm not going to move, I'll listen to 50 times, I want to understand what the Rebbe is saying. You do it with one, it'll change everything. That's what happens. So, really, to inject mamish, achadim u'miyachadim mamish, to truly understand. Let's take a look.
Digest.
Yet, ulefi shebiyadiyas ha'torah. HaTorah mulubeshes b'nefesh ha'adam. V'sichle. The Torah is inside, ungeton, in your nefesh, and in your brain. Umu kefes b'teicham, and it's surrounded. L'chein nikras b'shem lechem u'mazon ha'nefesh. That's why Torah is called food. Ki kemeish alechem ha'gashmi zones ha'guf. When you put it mamish inside of you, it becomes one with you. That's when you're going to come to live. So too. So too spiritually in your nefesh. When a person learns Torah, he learns it ad shenitfeses b'sichle until you're completely one. Then, nasa mozon nefesh. That's when it's machayed the nefesh adam, and it becomes chayim b'kirba. Mechayim in seiv baruchu. I want just for a minute. What did we learn in Chassidus? We learned many in Torah or the Kutei Torah or whatever. When a person eats, the food is not what keeps you alive. There's a nitzutz aliki inside. So he's saying the same exact thing here. When the nefesh doesn't come to life from the Torah. In the Torah, the nitzutz is erin sof baruch ha'malubishba. There's a likus in the Torah that's going to bring you to life. Whatever Hashem touches comes to life. Mechaye hachayim ein sof baruch hu ha'malubish b'chachmasei v'teirasei. That's inside the nefesh.
So, in the analogy of lechem and being Torah, is there like the Torah? What part of it is what gets digested and what the meaning? There's like in food.
Oh, right. So he's not saying that there's shmorim that the body throws out some, and so right, or it's becoming blood. What he's trying to say is that it becomes one with you.
I understand.
It's an inyum pnimi.
Yeah, but there he's saying he's separating the physical food from like the nutrients, so to speak.
Proteins.
Where the Torah is the words, the book, whatever. But then there's the nitzvahs, there's the nutrients that actually get digested into the body.
The life that you
gets
from Elikus. You're not getting the life from the words of the Torah. The words of the Torah carry in it the Eibishter.
But it's a little bit contradictory to what we said before about the Torah. We said that the Eibishter is the Torah and it's not
That's
separate
right, the
from
Torah
the
is
Torah.
one.
So then the words itself is not really separate.
It's not
You have to somehow attach where the Abish. No, but the Abishter are the. Even though you're saying that the Abishter are the words, but yes, last week we were just saying that not the Abishter and then there's the words. The Abishter is the words, so it's not separate. So therefore, that the Abishter, yes, you could look. Meaning the other way is you're looking at it and you're saying that there's the words and then there's the Abishter, but because we just want to separate it, but really the words are the Abishter, so it's not that there's the Abishters in the words.
Let's take it apart for a minute. Just zooming down. That what the Alter Rebbe said is that the Torah is Hashem's wisdom. If it's Hashem's wisdom, it doesn't speak about physical things. Torah speaks about
everything.
godly things. Torah medaberes bol yonim. We only get a physical manifestation of Torah. We get like a parallel universe. Yeah, but it's like water. Even though the way we learn it in Elam Haza is not the way they learn it in Gan Eden, but it's still the same Torah. It's still Hashem's wisdom. Right? Now, so that's Chochmah Shalak Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, Chochmah Shalak Kadosh Baruch Hu, if we talk in the jargon of Chassidus and Kabbalah, that's Chochmah Atzilus. Higher than Atzilus, there is no Chochmah. Higher than Atzilus, it's Eir Ein Sof. Like the Agor and Perek Beis. Ratzon is also Chochmah. Ratzon is in Chochmah. It's all, yeah. So when we say Eir Ein Sof, Hamalubish, we're talking about like what's behind, like the life being behind the Chochmah. Now you're going to say, yeah, but we said Hu Amad Hu Hayedeya. Okay, so we're not going to solve right now the whole understanding of Tzimtzum and
no, because it's irrelevant. Because I'm sure the Malachim have their level of the Torah that comes where they don't have, let's say, Dibur, but they have something else. But it's just as irrelevant as the Dibur is to us, whatever that is to them. It's still the Eibishter is the.
It's all the Torah is Hashem's Chochmah.
Right, regardless. And but the way it gets transferred into from here by us or by them or whatever.
The way it is for the Malachim, but it's all Hashem's Chochmah. Right? And what the highest part, that's the Eir Ein Sof, Hamalubish in the Chochmah. That's what David HaMelech says, V'seiroscha b'seich me'ah. What kind of expression is that? The Torah is in my kishkis. It almost sounds derogatory. It's not like Shkosav is Chaim Shem Dal Perigimel Shilavush Yamushom is began Eden Hein HaMitzvahs. That in Gan Eden, in order for a neshama to receive the schar of Gan Eden, it's too great for us. It's like infinity. So the mitzvahs are the attachments. They're the accessories that we need. It's like a spacesuit. When you have a spacesuit, you could be in outer space. When you have the suit of mitzvahs, you're able to absorb the light of Hashem. And it says that the Torah, He hamazing l'neshamis sha'osku ba'elam hazeh b'Torah lishma. Torah is the food for the neshamas, for those that learn Torah lishma. Now the Rebbe, what does the Zohar say? What does lishma mean? Lishma hainu, in other words, for its sake. What does it mean for its sake? For its sake could mean for the sake of Torah. I'm learning Torah not because I need to know what to do. I'm learning Torah because I want to know Torah. That's one kind of lishma. But over here, the Alter Rebbe brings from the Zohar. What does lishma mean? I'm learning Torah in order to connect to Hashem. That's the reason. Which is exactly what he's saying here. that when a person learns Torah, they're connecting to Hashem. But the Rebbe has an interesting vort over here. A person may think that really Torah, when you learn Torah, you don't get connected to Hashem. If you learn Torah Lishma, the power of Lishma makes you connected. So that's why the Alter Rebbe is here to clarify, no, Lishma is not a separate quality that makes you connect to Hashem. When you learn Torah, you become connected to Hashem, and that's what the Lishma is, that I should be connected to Hashem. V'lishma hainu, k'dei l'kasher nafsh Hashem, adei l'savas ha'teira, ish kli sichel, ish kasa priyetz chaim. Now the Rebbe also brings, why do
So
we...
then how does it transfer to the people that, let's say, an apikaris or someone who learned Torah Stam, and is that still just the same thing, but it's in the Chinas Acharan? How do they...
Right, what's happening with his oneness?
Well, but it's automatic. I mean, if it doesn't make a difference just by learning the Torah...
But it's not, because he's not agreeing with...
He learns subject, he doesn't learn Torah.
What?
He learns subject.
No, but if he's a Jewish guy...
He learns subject.
He's not agreeing. Is he? In other words,
No, so that's the question. Now you have to define learning. What does that mean? That you're accepting, or I mean, you learn something, you could understand it 100%, and you could still disagree with it. You could not understand it fully. You can.
But still connected to God.
It's a little bit of kind, so there's got to be a follow-through.
Yeah, but
I
learning.
just realized
When you're learning Torah,
what he brings here from Torah Shalom, it's not from Torah
it tells you when
Shalom.
you're learning Torah that you
It's a
just by learning Torah,
footnote
because
that
the
the
fact
Rebbe
this is
wrote
Torah,
in Torah
it
Shalom.
has to be automatically.
So it's all from the
What?
Rebbe. It's a
What about
fascinating
Lishma? The
thing.
question is if
Everything
is
thoroughly,
permeated in
by
the
the
Torah,
Rebbe.
and regardless if you agree with the Torah.
Come. The Alter Rebbe brings here, in Gan Eden, so the Rebbe explains what's happening here. The Alter Rebbe is not interested in speaking about what happens in Gan Eden. The Alter Rebbe's point is to speak about the quality of Torah, that Torah is Mozen, that's deeper. He's just bringing the sources to show. Let's take a look. Mozen, what is Mozen? Mozen, you want to cover it?
No, the person.
Mozen is an erpnimi. Erpnimi means it shapes you. Food shapes you. Right? When you say you are you are what you eat, you are the total of your decisions. You are the total of your behaviors. Right? If you sleep like a mensch, you exercise, you smoke, you this, that's who you are. It's all, right? Mozik, the things that we do, in other words, you aren't how many hours you drove a car. It's only the things that are the pneumius, that what's actually happening to you. Mitzvahs is like driving a car. I can't tell if you drove today or not. Because it's an Inyan Makif. I can't tell if you put tefillin on your hand today.
So
Just from looking at you.
something you consume?
Huh?
Something that alters your body.
Something you consume. Something you consume.
Alters your body.
Yeah, you eat a little chont, you start yawning right away. We see the signs. So Torah is pnimi. It's a light that's a pnimius light. It's ingested, it changes you. It affects you. The idea of a levush is something that surrounds you, it's outside of you. I heard from Rabbi Greenglass. See, Rabbi Greenglass was a funny guy. He, the way he behaved, it wasn't only that the Rebbe called him my mekubal, but when in yeshiva, he gave off a mekubal aura. In other words, he would go around saying things to people as if he knows their thoughts.
Give you something to it.
Right? He would say, did you watch Nagavasa? How did you know? How did you know? Right? You said Shema today yet? Right? So the both Greenglass, he says, that levushim, it says that everything a person says, all the words that you speak, they don't disappear. They all are around you. They're hovering around you. So that's why great tzaddikim, when they would see someone, they would also see the aura. So they could see the negative, either way, the negative or the positive, right? The Baal Shem Tov, he saw a big light on someone. And then he said, you have to tell me what you did, and where, right? So mitzvahs become the surrounding aura. The levushim are makifim. They're around the person. That's why Chazal say, Shetalmud Torah shokol keneged kol mitzvahs. We have it in multiple places, in multiple ways, that Torah outweighs or weighs equal to all mitzvahs. Why? Lefi sheha mitzvahs hey levushim levad. The mitzvahs are just garments. Torah he mustn't. Torah is a food; it's ingested. V'gam levush. It's not missing the garment quality. Torah also surrounds you. You speak the words of Torah. It also becomes a garment. It's a levush lenefesh hamaskeles. First of all, to the nefesh, to the shemislabish ba beyuna v'limuda. While you're learning, you get into it. The kol shekain, of course, kashemeitzi bepiv bedibur, when you speak. She'efel adibur nasa b'chinas ermakif.
Practice is more important than the result.
Huh?
Process of learning more important than the result. I don't need to know conclusion. What psak did.
More important meaning stronger connection. Yeah, stronger connection to Hashem. Yeah.
Like Talmud Torah connected Kulam?
Yeah, exactly. Talmud Torah.
I'm not looking for psak did. I'm looking how they learn.
Okay, Chavre, Yeshe Koyach. Okay, thank